I always had worries about what my future would be. Was I going to be happy? Was I going to be married? Was I going to get out of all the debts that I was in? So even though I thought I was okay, I always felt there was something missing in my life. I had a friend. We were very, very close friends. And she started to tell me about a place that she was attending.
After the advisor prayed for me, I felt so free, I felt light. I couldn't wait to go and share my joy with others. I rang my dear friends, Kim and her sisters and parents, and I said, you wouldn't believe what happened to me.
At that time, I was into tarot cards and things like that, so I thought that I could go to this place and I would hear all about my future, that they would be able to tell my future, which I thought, great. She invited me and I attended. And when I got there, it was not what I expected at all. They weren't telling me my future. They were telling me that my future could be better. I was a bit confused. I was a little bit disappointed because that's not what I wanted. I wanted a quick fix, but I realized it wasn't a quick fix that I needed, that if I did attend this place and I did follow the instructions that I was receiving, that my life could change. I found something much, much more precious than I could find in tarot cards. And now I have been attending for 20 years this year, and I've been an assistant there for 20 years. And now I'm married and with 2 children, and now that my future will be positive and a happy future.
I'm really happy that, they came and the doors have been opened for themselves, their lives have been changed, and it's Kimmy and her sisters and the parents have come, and they are all servants of God today.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Finding Answers. And tonight I would like to speak to you who find yourself repeating the same mistakes over and over again. In certain situations, you follow a pattern that maybe you already know that's not going to work for you. You have done it before and it resulted in problems, in frustration, in things that didn't bring to you the desired outcome at all. But for some reason that maybe even yourself cannot explain, you just do what's like what you're programmed to do. You just respond that same way, even though knowing that it's not good and that it's not going to work. So tonight we're going to talk about it. Why does that happen? Why do many people end up acting this way? Is it a mistake or a decision? Where is it that the making a mistake stop and it's actually just something from your subconscious or maybe even conscious that you're just doing it? So if this is interesting to you, that's what we're talking about tonight. Tonight's topic is repeating mistakes. How can you break the mold? How can you stop doing it? We hope to help you and inspire you by showing you what we're going to show here tonight. Watch this video and we'll be right back with more details about this.
It has been said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. But why do we repeat mistakes? Human beings often seek comfort in the familiar, and Freud called this repetition compulsion and defined it as the desire to return to an earlier state of things. It could also be that we repeat mistakes because we have developed patterns over the years that become ingrained in us. We each create a subjective world for ourselves and think we know what works for us. But when under stress, we tend to retreat to habits because the regulatory processing of the prefrontal cortex, the non-habit center of the brain, is overtaxed from physical and mental exhaustion. Therefore, we are repeating what is familiar and what feels safe. This creates rumination of thoughts as well as negative patterns in reactions and behaviors. But can we ever stop repeating mistakes? In spite of someone not wanting to react in this way, the person has created a pattern over the years. To react differently would feel odd or strange. When someone has done something the same way for years, they will continue to do so, even if it causes harm for both themselves and others. But by working on different behavioural techniques, you can break habits, and you can stop repeating mistakes.
Well, obviously, nobody gets everything right the first time that they try. But actually, what we're talking about here is when you do something that you have done before, exactly as it was done before, and you just know that it's not going to work for you. For instance, maybe when you deal with stress, a stressful situation, you drink. And then the previous times that you drank, what happened? You drove and you had an accident. You maybe was caught, you got a fine, you got a ticket, you lost your license. You did things that you regretted. You lost the respect of other people. You lost control of yourself. So you know that it's not going to work. But why is it that you end up doing the same thing again? And of course, it can be spread to other things. Some people get angry, they get emotional, they resort to a pattern of behavior that they know is not going to resolve anything. Why is that? How to break free. Tonight, Victoria is with us. Good evening.
Good evening.
Victoria, your explanation, your opinion to this phenomenon. Why is it that people keep repeating mistakes knowing they've done it before and it didn't work, so just doing it again?
Well, I was reading some research earlier about the difference between the adult brain and the toddler brain, so a child's brain. And the habits of a toddler's brain include things like impulsiveness, poor judgment, and self-obsession. But obviously, as we grow older, we have rationalization and thinking about others. But interestingly, when we're under stress, it's been suggested that we tend to retreat to the habits of emotion regulation that we see in childhood, but only during stress. And neuroscientists have found that this is actually a protective mechanism for the brain. But these habits of the toddler brain are activated by feelings that are more similar to an alarm call rather than an analysis of past mistakes. Mm-hmm. So we're stressed. So what happens is we then retreat back to this toddler brain. We're very, very selfish. We just do things without thinking. And we don't tend to think about the things that we've done in the past and think, oh, that didn't go very well, I won't do that again. And it's like a protective mechanism. Could
it be like, well, I know it's not going to work, but at least I know what's going to happen because I've done it before? It's kind of like a control damage or a situation?
Yeah, and you feel safe. Even if you know that it's not going to work, if you do it again under periods of stress, then you sort of feel safe and that it's like a routine. Yeah.
Okay. In a practical way then, for us to start already, at least trying to help someone who is watching us and who would love to learn something new, what could they do? What could this person do to stop repeating the mistakes?
I think you need to understand that mistakes do happen and problems are going to arise, but I think the main thing to do is realize that you can actually take control of your situation. So if you are in a negative situation or you are under stress, it's always worth just taking 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you can, before reacting and thinking, okay, I am actually in control of this situation. Even if you don't feel like you are, you can always just pretend to yourself that you are and then decide exactly what you're going to do. And even if you don't know what to do, maybe do something different than what you did last time that resulted in a mistake.
Very good. And I would say, on my perspective, speaking about faith, that you don't have to settle for this kind of reaction. Well, I know it's bad when I drink, or it's bad when I get angry, and it's not going to resolve my problem, but at least it makes me feel better. Okay, maybe it does, but you know that that's not the best solution. You can actually learn how to find a solution. Faith offers us options. Victoria actually mentioned something that is important. You know, you calm down, you wait, you don't react right away, you think about it. In other words, a more rational behavior, it's definitely something that will help you think things through and not repeat that mistake. You remind yourself, no, listen, when the last time that I did it, what happened? I got into trouble. It didn't really work out. So what you need to do is to try to learn a different way of behaving. Try to get involved with someone who has gone through what you have been through and how did they overcome. Actually, what you're going to see tonight will help you. We have a live guest here with a very inspiring story. So if you know someone, maybe you're not the person repeating the same mistakes, but he's your son, he's living with you. I know it's, a little bit over 11 p.m., but wake him up if he's sleeping. It's worth, right, to learn something new. Tell him, watch this program. They're talking about you. They're talking about something that will help you. Or text someone, tell them to tune in to the station right now and watch Finding Answers, which, by the way, how can people watch us again? I'm going to put you to work tonight.
You can send us a tweet if you'd like to contact us. Just start your tweet with @FindAnswersTV. You can find us on Facebook by searching for Finding Answers, and you can look at our pictures on Instagram by following Finding Answers. And if you'd like to watch previous shows, then you just need to go to our YouTube channel, which is Finding Answers. And if you'd like to get involved with us via our website, then you just need to go to www.findinganswers.tv.
Very good. And reminding you, our phone lines are open right now. Would you like to call us and give us your opinion about this? Are you someone that you hate the fact that you are following in the same hole over and over again? You would love to, break free, stop, living in being stuck in a rut and moving on? So give us a call, 0207-686-6300. Our advisors are here. It would be a pleasure speaking to you. Either you want to do it privately with one of the advisors, or should you want to do it on the air, here we are to help. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, very interesting opinions from the people in the streets of London.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort, and homework from you.
Has the US been steering killer drones? Won't reach Syria for several months. Fighter jets to be outside.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Tonight our topic is repeating mistakes. So now it's time to go to the general public on the streets of London to see what they have to say about this topic.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and family as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi, I'm Chiki here, out and about in London for Finding Answers. Tonight's topic is repeating mistakes. One mistake made is a lesson learned, or is it? I'm just going to be finding out from the general public what they think about making the same mistake twice. Is it really a mistake, or has it become a decision? Let's see what they say. Mistakes are meant for learning, not repeating. So making the same mistake twice is not a mistake anymore, but a decision. Do you agree?
I think that it's easy to forget mistakes, especially if they really hurt you. Sometimes you just want to forget about them, and so it's easy to make them again. So I don't think it's always a decision, but I certainly agree that it is a decision if you've absorbed the fact that it's a mistake.
I don't necessarily think that it's a decision. I think sometimes, based on the situation, you may not recognize the situation being a situation that is something you made a mistake in before, and sometimes without proper guidance, the first time you make a mistake, you don't necessarily learn how to not make it again. Sometimes you just simply kind of tread back into the same situation, don't realize it, and then you might make the same mistake again.
Dependent on the subject or on the topic and the situation, but I think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing the same mistake twice, because sometimes it's something that you need to learn, and it can take more than one go at it. So yeah.
Very interesting opinions from the people in the streets of London. But I'm here with Gustavo. How are you?
Very nice, thank you.
You are someone who definitely in your past repeated a lot of mistakes.
More than I like to admit, yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So he's gonna tell us right now what were these mistakes and how he was able to stop committing the same mistake and put his life on a new route. Let's learn with him.
It's pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
Okay, so Gustavo, going straight to the point, what were these mistakes?
Well, they started out really early, to be honest. You know, as a kid, growing up, everyone says that your brain's like a sponge, you know, when you're a child, and you just soak everything in, you know, and for me, it was just harmless. But me growing up, I was exposed to things like pornography. I was exposed to things like music, and just these two alone, it hindered my progress a lot.
When you say music, I mean, music is not a bad thing. So was it a kind of music?
Music's not bad, as I said. It's just, it can be wonderful. But the thing is, everything to an extent becomes bad. You know, sugar, you take it too much, tooth decay. Right. So with me, it got to a point where I could not live without music. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it got to the point where I was in my academic level and I was trying to study. You know, it wasn't just before, I didn't need to study. You know, I thought, oh, I'm a big shot. Don't need to revise. I was passing everything, but it got to the point where it's a bit more serious. I need to revise now. And I couldn't study because I thought I needed music to revise, but the music just distracted me, and that was one of my many downfalls. And I just kept doing it over and over again, you know, okay, let me try classical music. Mm-hmm. Maybe that would help me to revise better. It just didn't work.
Didn't work. It started being a nuisance, distracting you. Interesting. I don't have enough data on this right now, but I would love to maybe in the future get more data and maybe even do a program about this, the effect on music when people can only become functional if some music is on, right? There's people today we see they have the headphones with them the whole day. Was it you? Like
that was me, literally. It was. I'm not exaggerating. I wake up. Most people go brush their teeth. I would put on some music on my phone somehow on a radio.
So it was an addiction.
It was, and I didn't think so. I think it was I thought, oh, this makes me intellectual. It makes me eccentric. You know, someone that likes all broad types of music. But no, it was. I couldn't think. I think that was my worst problem. Mm-hmm. It didn't give me time to think. Mm-hmm. And if I wasn't listening to music when I got ready, took a shower, on my way to school, then if I wasn't listening to music, it was playing over in my head. So I'm trying to listen to the teacher, and it's just not going in because I'm playing beats.
Your mind was just not there.
Somewhere else. And you know, 1 or 2 days of this is okay, but imagine, you know, a lifetime or a span in education where you can't focus.
Mm-hmm. How did that affect your performance in a practical way? Did it lower your marks?
Definitely. It resulted in the fact that I did manage to pass my my A levels. However, they were just the grades that was just sort of just clinged on to the past, you know. And I was one of those students where everyone kept saying, "Look, Gustavo, you have so much potential." And I would hear that my whole life, you know, you have potential, but I never learned. I didn't know how to make that potential come out. You know, it's one thing having it, it's another learning how to use it. And I just couldn't, I just didn't know. And everyone could see that, you know, he's not, there's something there, you know, he can do things, but something's slowing him down. But because music is seen as such a harmless thing, no one...
So you never saw it as a hindrance, as the thing, that one of the main things that was contributing to your poor performance, you could say, or not reaching your full potential? You didn't identify that as
not at all, not at all, because who would think music is a harmless thing, you know? It's so uplifting, it can bring such good emotions, it can help you through a hard time, it can bring a past memory. So you'd never think that music is something that's...
When you were stressed out, when you were sad about something, so what would you do? Just resort to music to make you feel better?
Music.
Yeah.
Music. It was my friend, you know, if I was... Because I always sort of needed a lot of attention. Everyone had to be saying my name, like if I was in a classroom, at least one person had to be looking at me, or I had to get a girl's attention. So if there was a day where that didn't happen, I'd get really, really depressed. You know, I was really, really down. It was just such, you know, problems stemming from everywhere. And when I got home, put on some music and just forget about it.
Right. It's easier, right? Or you could say it's
like
an
a
easier
plaster,
way out.
yeah. It's like a plaster on a huge crack.
And you know, you're watching us. Maybe this has become a problem to you. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's something else that makes you feel better. Right? You have a problem, you pop in a CD, or you just listen to music, you turn on the radio and you're singing, you're trying to focus on the melody, you're trying to focus on the words, just to shift out, you know, shift the focus out of the problems into whatever you're doing. But the fact is that it's a very, I would say, a very poor way of dealing with the situation, because you're not really resolving anything. As you said, it's just like a plaster. You know, the problem is still there. It's like if there is a tumor, just putting a plaster over it, you're not seeing it, but it's not going to heal it. So, you know, it's a mistake. And it was something that you were repeating every day. So this is what you know, if you see that this is what you're doing, get help. Get help. If you know someone that is going through this, you can still tell them to watch, because he's going to share with us how he was able to break free. Maybe you going through this right now, you cannot even see your way out. It sounds like it's impossible, because it's in your mind all the time. I actually have met other people that struggle with this, people with obsessive compulsive disorder. The music is always playing in their mind. Were you ever diagnosed with any of this? Did you ever try to get help for that, or no?
No, like I said, I just never thought it was a problem. I just, not until I found some help that I thought it was a problem.
Okay. Let me go back also to the other issue that you mentioned at the beginning, the pornography.
Yes.
It started at what age?
Gosh, maybe 4 or 5.
Is that real? For real? How were you 4 or 5 having access to this thing?
I don't know. It was just, in my house, it was very weird, but it was just, there was loads of magazines and stuff around. It was just, and you have these uncles, oh, come here, let me show you something. And then you have the older brothers, oh, have you seen this? So you grow up and everyone just accepts this as a, it's just going to happen eventually.
Right.
So it's never seen as a
problem. So you're
exposed
to that,
huge,
right? As a child, growing up, did it become a habit? How did that affect you?
It became a serious habit, but I just thought, it's not a problem, it's normal. What's the problem? It's natural, you know? And it just grew up to the fact that I just accepted it. Well, it's not an addiction. I can stop it if I wanted to. But one day I did try and stop it, and even every cell in my body was like, no, I don't want to do this. I just couldn't help it. And I think for a human being, that's like the worst feeling, not having control over your own body. No, the one thing that is truly yours, not being able to control it. It's like, and every time you do it again and again and again, it just makes you feel lower and lower and lower, and your strength to get back up, and it just gets cut down, and to the point where you just forget it.
Yeah, because I have also studied a little bit about this and met people who had the same issue, and it's the craving to do it. It's like an uncontrollable desire to watch, to get some satisfaction from it, but the moment after doing it is like the worst feeling in
Literally,
the world.
a split second after you've watched it, and it's just like, oh, this again. I've gone through the same cycle, and it's like, there's nothing worse in life than being stuck in something of a cycle. It brings you down. It really just puts you really down. And then when that happened, as soon as I was finished watching it, what did I do? Listen to music. Oh, that makes me feel better. Until the next day, I was in the same predicament. And that was it. I was going to go through life in that way.
Wow. So you were trapped.
Literally, yes.
With these two issues there. That at first, especially in the society we live in today, seem to be very normal, but actually were hurting you badly, right?
And that's just sort of an umbrella of everything else, because, with that comes laziness. So, it all just stems from a root, really, and you get like this umbrella of problems that just dominates the whole world. The whole world the majority of people seems to suffer with this, but again, it's just seen as a normal thing.
Yeah, this is where I also have to stop here and make a very important comment to you, viewer, that struggle with this. Or maybe it's not pornography, but maybe it's some other kind of addiction, drugs, alcohol. What most people have in common is that there's a strong craving for the drug, for the pornography, for the alcohol, whatever. But after the effect, the high is over, it's the low that comes after it. It's unbearable. It gets worse by the day. And why is that? How can it be that in 1 minute it feels like it's the thing to do, it's the thing that I can't do without, and in the next minute I feel that I hate myself for doing it? Because this is important to understand. Speaking from a spiritual point of view over this problem, there are negative spiritual forces that work in this world, and they're out to get us. It's all over the Bible, especially if you read the teachings of Jesus. You're going to see that confronting negative forces, negative spiritual forces, was part of Jesus' daily work. Removing them from people, setting people free, liberating them from these forces that cause depression, that causes oppression, addictions. I'm not going to say to you that every problem is the result of a negative force, but some problems are. And this is one of them. This is one of the explanations why this nonsense or situation happens. In a minute, I need to do it. In the next one, I hate myself because I did it. It's because these forces, they manipulate the person's mind into doing it. They stir up the cravings. They, mix up the hormones, whatever way you want to see it, for the person to have this feeling that they need to have their fix. They need to do it now. The moment the person submits to the will of this force, they withdraw. These forces withdraw, leaving the person with this sense, why have I done this? How could I? Why am I putting myself through this? And then, the negative inspiration begins. You're worthless, you have no control, you're weak, it's better to die than to live. This will never end, this will never change. So if this is happening to you now, get help. And you can start, should you want, by a simple phone call, 0207-686-6300. You can just say, please pray for me. I'm going through this. I don't know what to do. I'm desperate right now. Maybe at this point, I'm talking to you and you feel that you are at the end of your rope. You're not seeing a light in the end of the tunnel. You're desperate now. There's no one around. Maybe you are there considering if you're even going to make it through the night or not. So don't do anything radical, anything negative now. Just take your phone, give us a call, speak to one of our advisors. Why not? What have you got to lose? Okay, but I believe you have a lot to gain. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, Gustavo is going to share with us what he did in order to break free from this negative cycle.
My husband committed suicide when I was quite young, left me with 3 young children.
It was about 8 years of abuse, starting for psychological abuse until it got physical.
I just felt so lost as a teenager. I didn't know who I was. I kind of just felt very, very lonely.
My grandmother passed away 8 months after, 9 months after, then my mother passed away too. I kind of buried those emotions.
I was having really sleepless nights and I was really desperate.
Depression, that was affecting me. 10 years I was on medication.
The pursuit of happiness. What will make you happy? Success? Fame? New shoes? Financial security? Love? Education? Independence? Family? Sometimes in the pursuit of things we think will bring us happiness, sometimes we fail to see that we aren't happy, or we never find it. We live in a world of people. Rather than pursue things to make you happy, what if we all worked to make each other happy? Wouldn't we all be happier? This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Monday, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesday, prayers for healing. Wednesday, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursday, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturday, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sunday, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength.
So welcome back to Finding Answers. Tonight we're talking about repeating mistakes, and I'm here with Gustavo, who had problems with addiction to pornography and addiction to music, which is something we don't hear a lot about every day, but it was an issue to him, right? So you're struggling with these things for about how long?
My whole life, to the point where I was 17. No, I had just turned 18 actually, sorry. 18 about a month after.
So from the age of 4 to 5, you said, to the age of 18,
4
we're
or
talking
5
about 14 years.
Yeah.
Most of your childhood and youth, right?
It's when you first start to sort of gain consciousness, like, at 4 and 5, you sort of become responsible for your own action. You know when you broke the cup or you spilled something. So at that age till when I first found help, which was about 18.
What led you to finally realize that these two things were not just normal, that they were an issue to you?
Well, it came from me sort of finding God, as much as I never thought I'd ever say that, because I didn't like church. I didn't believe in God. I believed in a God, sort of the spiritualism sort of thing, so you can do whatever you want in life, and when you die, you go to a purgatory, and then you go to heaven anyway, so you can do whatever you want. So I believed in that sort of stuff. So I never had any push, no incentive to change my situation or change my life, or I thought I had no help. So, you know, I came to God, and I thought I never would, and I took it seriously. And it was during that period, you know, I did something different. Because when you first find something different, you get different results. So I had an idea, you know, everyone was doing it sort of thing. It was a group purpose. You know, we were going to go 21 days without giving into any entertainment of any sort, you know, no secular activities, no TV. I know it sounds crazy, you know, in this day and age where we're surrounded by media, you know, left, right, and center. But, you know, if we can help it, if it's not part of our job, you know, give up the television, give up the mobile phone, whatever it is that takes up your extra time, and just do something constructive with your time, you know. And it lasted for 21 days.
So it was a challenge.
Yeah.
Where it was proposed 21 days without secular media,
yes.
In order to use your time instead of doing those things, to use it more constructively, right? What did you decide to do?
I did just that, and I took it on board. And it was when I did that, it was sort of, imagine someone being trapped in a very, very small jail, literally the size of their body, and one day someone just opens the latch, and then you see what it is that is open for you, and it's like, what have I been doing? And it was then that I realized that the music was a problem, that the pornography was a problem, and it's not the fact that it's two people having sex on the screen. Like, that's not a thing. It's just the fact that I couldn't control myself. I didn't have control over my mind. I was weak. I realized that I was weak, and I realized that I had problems, and I had to do something about it. You know, this is not normal. And once I realized that this is not a normal thing, I could take action on it. You know, I had something to fight against. It wasn't just, no, it's fine, but I had something to go against this time.
Right. So at this point, it was also you were also being encouraged to develop a relationship with God. Was that right?
Yeah, definitely. No, it's not just encouraged as well, being pushed. It was by what I was seeing around me. You know, I had examples of people in the church they were sincere, because your whole life you're told that people in church are hypocrites. And that was one of the main reasons. You know, I'd never been to church my whole life, but I knew everything about it. The pastor is a hypocrite, the person there is a hypocrite, they're all liars, they're just there because they want to look good to other people and put themselves up. So I didn't see that there, because I saw young people, such as myself. I was 18 at the time, and I saw young people, and I thought, there's no way that these people are doing this to impress other people. Like, they're too young for this, they don't care about these things, you know. So I realized, like, wow, this actually could work. You know, as corny as I thought it would be, or as lame, or the things that I thought I'm gonna have to cut off, I carried on with it, and I gave it a sincere chance. I thought, let me try it. Let me just give it a chance. If it doesn't work, I'll never come back. But if it does, I could have the power, you know, to do something. Because I always thought in my life I was just gonna be mediocre, but with this, I was like, wow, I actually can do something different.
So that challenge to you was like the trigger, the beginning, because it was like a very revealing experience where you actually saw that there was much more to life than just resorting to those things, and that you actually could take your life back, right?
Yeah, it was like...
Did you do the 21 days?
I did the whole 21 days. It was so hard. But after like the 12th day, you sort of get into a rhythm, and you realize how much time you actually waste. And it was like the first step in the right direction. It was like, you know, a train that's going full speed downhill, and it was, you know, the first time I actually grabbed onto it and tried to slow it down.
Interesting. I just remembered something. People say that old habits die hard.
Yeah.
You've been doing that for so many years. Those were two very bad habits. But they also say, I've heard, that if you can do something every day for 21 days straight, you just, you know, make a chain, like every day a link, then you are actually creating a habit. So if you can educate yourself to do something positive for 21 days, that's pretty much what you're going to do for the rest of your life without having even to think much about it. So that 21 days to you was like something to put your life on a, just like that, I don't know how to call the thing on the train tracks, that they just like a lever, right? And to put the train, it changes the direction that the train is going. That's what happened to you.
That's exactly what happened. So it was literally, it wasn't overnight, you know, it wasn't, as soon as I finished those 21 days, I was a complete different person. No, I still had the insecurities of my old self. I was still full of things, but it was the first step in the right direction. That's what the majority of people really struggle to get. You know, that first step in the right direction is it. You know, as soon as you pivot yourself to a new direction, you get different results. And that was the difference I needed. That 21 days was it was a break in the cycle of my life, going round and round and round. It was sort of, it snapped, and with that, I could move on and I could do something different.
Do you still struggle with pornography?
No, I cut it out, and it was really hard, and you know, the cravings was just, I couldn't understand. It's like, why do I want this so much? Like, everything in my body wants to not to do it, but I still want to. But no, once I took my faith seriously, and every time I got the craving or I wanted to do it, I would just sort of break free. I don't know, maybe search upon God, call upon Him, or just do something different, you know, distract yourself. If there's something in your room that brings you to do it, put it far away from you, you know. So it was those things. I just had to take God as serious as possible and I had to desire to change as well. It's not just God that's going to do the work for you, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
You know, He's not going to come down and, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
You have to want it.
Your decision. Music to you, is it something that you still need to be listening to it 24 hours a day to feel better?
Gosh, no. Like, it gives me a headache. It was also almost natural when I realized I was on a bus and I didn't have earphones on. Like, I don't remember the last time I carried earphones with me. It gives me a headache after like 10 minutes of listening to it. Of course, you know, I'm not going to say I don't listen to music. I do, because it's something that I enjoy and something that brings back memories, or something me and my brother can talk about. But the whole day, I can't stand it. I really can't.
You brought balance to that, right?
Balance, I brought, just maturity. You know, I have a job now, and it requires a lot of learning. I'm learning in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you know, a lot of things. And that requires, you know, for me to work outside my house, inside the job. And it's a lot of reading, you know, before. I know for a fact I wouldn't be able to complete all those readings. It's like a booklet.
So if there is one thing that you can mention in one word that helped you stop making the same mistakes, what is this thing?
Thinking. I think that was it. When I realized, when I used my brain and I just gave myself 5 minutes alone, no distractions, just sit yourself in a room, you know, by yourself and just think, what are you doing? What are you actually doing, you know? And once you realize that you're doing something wrong, you don't have to rely upon yourself, you know. If you ask God for help, He's not going to do it for you, but I'm sure He's going to give you the strength. Because when I realized I was getting that strength, it was like, wow.
So you developed a relationship with God?
Definitely.
You learn how to use the power of your faith in God?
Of course, yes.
Right? And through these two elements, and of course, doing your part, right? Because you're absolutely right. What Gustavo is saying here is worth more than gold. God is not going to do everything. He's not a magician that performs in front of you while you sit and wait for Him to do the trick. That's not the way that He works. It is not about you know, letting God do everything while you just say, oh, there's nothing I can do. No, there's a whole lot that we can do. And one of the things that is required is the sacrifice. You made the sacrifice. You decided for 21 days. Maybe you said, I can do it for the rest of my life, but I can do it for 21 days. And those 21 days showed you that you could do it for the rest of your life, because you're being free from this stuff for about how long now?
4 coming up to 5 years.
Yes. And how long did it take for you, since you started, you know, getting in touch with the support group, the Christian group, until you were totally free, you stopped it? It took about how long?
Gosh, the music was much easier for me to get rid of, but the pornography itself, it wasn't till, honestly, last year that I overcame the temptation. You know,
so we're talking about what, a battle of like 4
3
years?
years,
4
you know,
years?
you fall from it and you go back, but every time I kept doing the same thing, I realized I have the strength to do this. I wouldn't beat myself up like I would last time. I did something wrong, but I can change it. I can do something about it. And that was the change of mentality that I needed.
Yeah, and the main point is that, you know, that you made it, right? It took time. It wasn't overnight. That's the point I wanted to make. That things don't change overnight. You don't have to have it all figured out. But Gustavo is here as living proof that faith coupled with sacrifice, the sacrifice of doing what is wrong, the sacrifice of stop doing it, the sacrifice of your thoughts, putting your mind in the right direction, you know, reprogramming your mindset, getting closer to God, it does work. And I want to thank you, okay, for being with us tonight. You're going to stay, please, with us for the prayer. We're going to be praying for you in a few minutes. Prepare a glass with water, should you want to, because we're going to bless it and drink it. But in the next segment, we're going to have with us Bishop Jean Paul, who is going to also share with us more aspects, arguments to enlighten you on how to stop making mistakes, the same mistakes, and put your life on the right track. Back after this.
Uplifting.
Diverse.
Vibrant. Dynamic.
Powerful. Youthful. Informative.
Energizing. Passionate.
Motivational. Freedom. Lively.
Excitement.
Welcome back to Finding Answers, and we are talking about repeating the same mistakes, why people do it, and how to stop doing it. And one very important point is that I believe that maybe you watching us right now, you resort to the same thing because you maybe don't believe that you can do anything different, but the truth is that you can. But it starts with you believing that you can. Tonight with us, we have Bishop Jean-Paul. Good evening, Bishop.
Good evening. How are you, Edward?
Fine, thanks. The truth is, Bishop, that many people, they settle for a certain bad habit, following into the same mistakes because they believe that's all they can do. But this thought in itself is a lie, because as Gustavo said here, doing something different and also decided to get closer to God showed him that there was so much outside that box that he was trapped into. I believe that people can see by faith, they can learn that there's a whole lot more than what they understand and what they see in front of them.
Exactly, and this is important for you to understand that if you cannot get out of this vicious cycle of mistakes, you might think that this is not possible at all because you've tried so many times, but probably what you did, you tried alone. You maybe read a book here and there, or you saw something on the internet, you tried to do what others did, but most of the times you did it on your own. What Gustavo did is he sought help. And this, Edward, is what made the whole change. You know, I was paying attention when he was talking about the 21-week challenge, 21 days challenge rather. For 3 weeks, he decided to go exactly the opposite route of where he was, always. And this made a whole change for his life. That's why he was able to break free from all these repetitive mistakes. When people seek help, and in his case it was faith, it was this relationship with God where he found the help. And not only faith itself, but the people that could help him, the good influence. If you who are watching us right now do so, just like Gustavo did, you will also be able to break free from this cycle of mistakes and surely get your life back on track.
That's right, Bishop, because actually faith has to work. Gustavo is here as an example of what true faith is. Maybe the mistake that the viewer is repeating is the mistake of maybe just praying and praying and praying and not really taking any action, which, by the way, is a mistake. Would you agree?
Yes, I do. And I would like even to go a step further. There are a lot of people who don't believe in prayer. There are a lot of people who they claim to say, I have no faith at all, I don't believe in anything. But even you, viewer, who do not believe in anything, even you who claim to be totally agnostic towards the Bible matters, you call yourself an atheist, you do have faith. You do have faith in so many things. And you do have faith in yourself because you do a lot of things, a number of things you do. You can only do it because you believe you can. So that's faith. Now what we're talking about is to develop another kind of faith, a different type of faith, the one that will link you to God. And when it happens, you gain a supernatural power that you cannot find anywhere else. And that's what makes things that you believe to be impossible possible in your life.
That's right. That's why right now we can even encourage you who are watching us to participate, to actually practice what we're talking about right now. An active form of faith, which is a prayer, believing that through this prayer, somehow you're going to connect with God. Somehow something's going to change. Of course, it's not the full solution. It's not overnight. As we said here, it's not magic, but it's the beginning of a new life for you. As Gustavo had a new beginning on those 21 days, your new beginning can start right now. It's only a matter of you deciding. Did you prepare that glass with water? It's time for prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer and include you in the Finding Answers prayer book, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord and my Father, in the name of your Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, we enter your presence in this moment of prayer. And Lord, together here in the studios with Edward and Gustavo, we join our faith with the faith of this person who is watching us right now. Maybe, Lord, this person is in this cycle of mistakes, and she tells herself, or he tells himself, that he won't do it anymore, but they always end up getting back to the same mistake. And it's frustrating, my Lord, because once you try it over and over and you keep making the same mistake, our brain becomes trained to believe that it's impossible for us. We'll never make anything different, we'll never change, we'll never be able to get out of that situation. There's nothing we can do about it. And we know it's not true. We know that through faith, yes, through a relationship with God, one can find the strength that he needs to get out of any situation. Yes, be it an addiction, be it a bad behavior, be it, my Lord, something destructive, self-destructive, or something, my Lord, that impedes this person from furthering his career or education or a relationship. In short, we know, my Lord, that by faith all things are possible to those who believe. So, Father, consecrate this water, and when this person drink this water, may your power touch her, touch him, so that when they drink it, they may receive your blessing, your touch upon them, and it may bring them relief, it may bring them peace, it may bring them joy in this moment. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, in Jesus' name, amen. You may now drink from the blessed water.
was a pleasure being with you. Thanks for being with us until now. This is it from us. Have a great night. God bless. Bye-bye.